Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. I'm Dax Holt. Over there is Adam Glyn. We got a great show for you coming up. We have on our good friend Nina Parker. You know her from Access Hollywood, from The Insider, from E! News, Nightly Pop. She did the Love and Hip Hop reunion. She's currently doing Friday Night Vibes, and we know her extremely well because she used to work with us at TMZ. And we are going to be talking to her all about her career, how she got into this industry. She knew Cardi B before Cardi B blew up, so I'm curious to know what it was like and if she saw Cardi as that person who was going to be the next major star. We're going to get into whether or not she's made more money doing her fashion line or TV. We got a lot coming up on today's episode, so stick around for that. Adam, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. So I talked to Nina. Nina's like, there's some people in the industry like they've become like they're like celebs now, but I still talk to them like a friend, and it sounds really weird because like someone like Johnny Bananas is someone like I call him, and I'm not like I don't look at him as a celebrity. I'm like, what up, dude? You know, like I just treat him like any other buddy. Like, dude, what are you doing? Pick up, you know, or like I
Yep.
bully him just like I bully my friends or something like that. Nina is just like she's now like we worked with her, but now she's a celeb, but she's still cool as shit, you know. And it's not like you treat her any different because she's just cool. And I'll tell you what, man, there's not many people that try to help you in this industry. Like, and the ones that do, like you always kind of you remember that, and she hooked me up with a big meeting, and I'll remember that, like, because the meeting she got me, most people don't. Like, the meeting she got me, you do whatever you can to get the meeting like I did. Did anything come from the meeting? No, but I got the meeting, and, she did something nice for me. When someone does something nice for you, and at least I know from the entertainment business, it's like, it means the world because
It
it's
means a
so
lot.
hard.
It goes a long
It
way.
goes a long way. And I'm sure it goes a long way in any field or industry. But in this industry, for me, it was like, because this is all I wanted to do. And she got me a huge meeting. It was like icing on the cake. Good people. We root for good people, you know?
We do root for good people.
Like,
100%.
I'll tell you one thing. Scooter Braun, for example, did something really nice for me years ago. Remember Scooter was like he was managing Kanye for a short time. He was working with Kanye for a short period of time.
Yeah.
This was years ago. Scooter came out of Nobu 57 and in New York City. I go, Scooter, and I try to film him, try to put him on camera. And he goes, dude, I don't do this stuff. I don't do this stuff. And he goes, hold on, put the camera down. Put the camera down. He goes, you know what? Who you work for? I told him who I work for. He goes, you know what? Called the person right there on the phone and said, hey, I just want to let you know this person's doing a great job for you. You're lucky to have this person. And I was like, you know what, dude? That was super cool. Like, something so effortless and so nice. And just to call my boss and who he knew and let him know that I was doing a good job. And I was like, thank you, dude. And super, yeah. Some people like to shit on Scooter for Taylor Swift, but no, he's always been super nice to me.
Yeah. Cool moment.
Yeah. All right. What's going on with you, Dax? Everything good?
Everything is good. Yeah, just excited to talk to Nina today. It's been a while. I think, oh my God, I can't remember the last time I actually saw her. I think last time we saw each other in person, maybe when we were doing Access Hollywood stuff together. It's been a while. Again, someone I text with every once in a while. We'll DM each other on social media, but haven't seen her face to face in a while. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Very cool. Before we get to her, do you want to read a review or do you want to?
Yeah, let me read a review. All right, so this one comes from Trip Hazard is the name. Said, hours of entertaining content. It gave us a 5-star and said, Adam and Dax are hold on, I messed up. There we go. Adam and Dax are two of the most entertaining hosts I've ever gotten to listen to. It's amazing the perspective they bring to the industry. From a producer to a paparazzi, it's wild the things they get into. Drop questions on the chat. They tend to answer the cool ones. Thank you, Trip Hazard. Appreciate it.
Very cool. Very nice. Appreciate it. If you want to leave a review, just go to the Hollywood Raw. Just put in Hollywood Raw on like the Apple Podcast app, and then go all the way to the bottom. Say a few kind words, 5 stars, and we'll read your review live on air. Is the best way to do. Shout us out, and I think we might start doing contests again eventually soon for people who leave reviews. So make sure you guys, go on. Let's give some reviews. People help us support us. All right, Dax, tell us about our guest today.
All right, we got to get to our friend Nina Parker. You may know her from her fashion line, the Nina Parker collection that has just exploded on to the floors of Macy, but not only Macy's. Now it's all over online. I've seen it now showing up in different TV shows. Nina has been, her resume is ridiculous. Huge. Like I said, she was on E! News, Nightly Pop, Daily Pop. She did a lot of the red carpets for E! News when they would have the Grammys, the Oscars. So she's been to all the cool award shows. She did the Love and Hip Hop reunion shows, Insider. I mean, she's just done it all. So excited to talk to her. Nina, it is so good to talk to you. We haven't seen each other for a little bit, but I feel like we always pick up where we left off. You're one of those people in my life that doesn't matter how much time has gone by. I see you and you bring a smile to my face because it's just you. Number one, you remind me of like coming into this industry and starting off and the craziness that we both went through together. But then I love how successful that you have been post TMZ and that time that we got to experience together. And you just look so good. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
It's like being with family. So it's always like, even if you don't see your cousins for a long time, when you see them, it's like instant. So that's how I feel about anybody that, I started the industry in LA at TMZ too. So it feels, even though it wasn't college, it feels like college for us because we were all kids. We were all like in our 20s, like know anything about this industry. We were creating something new. So I have so much love for literally everybody there, even the people I didn't like. I love them now.
And I always tell people, I'm like, you don't understand the bond that we all had together because it was like a war zone. Like creating, like boot breaking camp. News in Hollywood is like a fucking war zone. Yeah. Especially at TMZ.
And now it's like more politics involved with it. But like back then it was just the Wild West. Like we were creating new pathways that didn't exist. Like now we mapped out like how people do it, but back then it didn't exist. So we were just, Adam was out in the field, we were in the studio and it was chaos, but it was crazy and toxic, but also fun within each other because we found so much solace because it was like, being in a fraternity or sorority, like you only understood if you were in it. So it was like, even though I had friends, they didn't understand what it was like to work there. So you guys were like my confidants.
Yeah. And now it's like the bond for life. No matter who I see from those beginning days, there was like 15 of us, I would say, from the very beginning, this little office that was attached to Extra upstairs in Burbank. And it was like, those are the people that I feel like I've got this eternal bond with. I love it. So.
And Dex, I know what your job was, but Nina, when you started TMZ, what was your role there?
Well, when I started, I was a runner. Like when I first started, my first position was running. Like literally, I was getting lunches. I think I might have been getting lunch for Dax at one point. Like I was,
I was too poor back then. I definitely wasn't ordering lunch.
Nobody was really allowed to leave for lunch. So it was like I would go out and get food and stuff and go get the tapes from the camera guys. And then I worked my way up. So ultimately my position was producer, for content. And then I would fill in for Dax and Max, like when they would go on vacation and like the photo editing areas and do the news desk and, and then I became like the weekend managing editor. So I kind of infused, I had a little bit of everything.
You know what I love about Hollywood? You saying that is how it is so true in Hollywood that no matter who you work with, you need to be kind to, because that same person that could have been your runner, your intern, can turn around and the next day be your boss or be the CEO. Brian, who what's his company? I'm totally blanking on his company.
Which
Brian, the ones that works with Trisha Yearwood. Brian Moore, who is the CEO. What is the company called again?
Shop Live, by the way.
Hot Shop Live. Used to be my intern. He literally was my intern, and now he is this massive CEO. Massive CEO.
I had no idea that.
What's that?
I had no idea about that.
Oh yeah, Brian was a PA. I feel like we might have been PAs at the same time, or I had just became a producer, but we really clicked. And when I left TMZ and went to the Insider, Brian came to the Insider and was doing, and then that's kind of when he got in the digital world because he started doing social media for the Insider, and how he got his mind on like, hey, the world is changing and we need to advance in the digital way. He was way ahead of his time. And now like he hires me to do hosting for Talk Shop Live. Like we partner with a lot of things. I've helped his company like when they need a host, sometimes they're like, who do you like? So it's so funny how everything is very cyclical. And yeah, I mean, I think they just posted like they just got some like award for Fortune 500. Like it's insane.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Everybody from TMZ is doing really well. Everybody like really, I will say one of the things we learned there was to really be innovative and take chances and like not to be scared to try something and not to be scared to fail. I feel like that was a really big lesson. I will say that Harvey trusted us to take risks. And when I worked at other places, because a lot of people at TMZ never went to another news outlet. So there were very few, and I was one of the few that went to like other news outlets, and I could see how they operated. And most of them were using these old models, and they were really afraid to go out of this old model. And the one thing I will say Harvey did was threw that to the wind, and he trusted his team, and he trusted the young people there to keep him abreast of what was going on. Where when I went to a place like CBS, they didn't want to listen to you. They were like, no, we've been doing this for 25 years, not realizing that model was dying. And the one thing I will say is that, you evolve or die. And now you see these entertainment news shows really, really suffering. And it's because they never wanted to shake those old models. And you have people in there screaming like me, where I was like, you guys need to change this. And they didn't want to listen. And I had come from such a progressive place like TMZ to go to a more traditional place, which usually is the other way around. And so I really had this vision, and I was just so confused why they wanted to hold on to this old model that clearly wasn't working anymore.
I would say work ethic. All of us, I know Adam has a work ethic, Nina, every single person that I ever worked with at that company, their work ethic is beyond anything that I've ever known because working there.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, sorry, Adam.
It was in all of us anyway, which is why we were hired there. But I will say, it put us all to a test, and it was really like sink or swim. So it was like getting when you're playing video games and you get the supercharge, you hit the Mario coins. Like we all hit our Mario coins there, like we and really hit our stride.
Yep.
Nina, you said something that, and I don't want to basically shoot the hand that feeds you or whatever, that bite the hand that feeds you, but the entertainment news shows out there. We just saw E! News kind of, they're no longer going to be doing E! News. Yeah. Do you think all these shows like Access, Extra, where do they stand now? What's their future looking like?
I mean, I think if you're just looking at the facts, right? Like back in the day, like when I was, let's say like 10 years ago, I want to say when I started at not ET, I was at the Insider, but they were sister shows. Their ratings were like, they would get like 7.1 a night, 6.1. Now it's almost like 1.3, right? It's drastically dropped within the last 10 years because people have found other ways to get their news, right? But also,
and sorry, to someone who doesn't know what that means, does that mean like 7 million people, 7.2, 7.1 million people watching versus 1 million people watching?
Right, exactly. Okay. And so their Nielsen ratings would be so high. And now it's, dropped considerably, and people are lucky to even be in the, getting a million households watching these days, and so it's interesting to see that drop. And it's like, are you paying attention to that? Because then what you learn is people aren't watching for the news, they're watching for the people who are giving you the news. But a lot of these shows don't want to give a lot of credence to their talent, and I was at E! for 5 years, and you can see it then, like a lot of them were just using these old models. And the one thing, again, I'll give credence to Harvey, is that he wasn't a slave to celebrities and publicists. Like he wanted to tell the truth, and there was an honesty in that, even though sometimes it was too much. But with these other organizations, like they are really placating to the publicists and to the celebrities and want to be celebrity friendly. But a lot of that ends up coming across as inauthentic. And we're really in an era now where people want authenticity, which is why, things are thriving in the digital world and not doing so great in the traditional entertainment sense. So when you look at the renewals, right, like you look at with Variety or Hollywood Reporter, when they put out who's getting renewed, they're only renewing these shows for like a year. So I think Extra is renewed through 2026, where back in the day, you'd get 3-year renewals. They'd renew for a clump of time. And now it's like, if they're going year by year. So E-News had already, and I feel like people aren't talking about this enough, but E-News got canceled in 2020. Like the real farewell was 2020. To me, that was the real goodbye, because that was the end of the traditional show. Juliana left, like, Ryan Seacrest and Juliana were gone. There was an era of E that was over. When it came back, they brought it back as a late night show almost. It was like at 11:30 at night. And that to me was like, okay, why? It didn't make sense. A lot of the decisions that happen with entertainment news seem very disconnected from the appetite of the consumer. And I feel like if they don't start making decisions not based on numbers or brand deals, but if they're really paying attention to the appetite that people want, they can survive. But I don't see them really paying attention. They're still incredibly disconnected from what the consumer, what the people want to see, what fans of a star wants to see. They're still using these archaic methods that they were using when we were in our 20s. I mean, I'm in my 40s now, and a lot hasn't changed. And that's incredibly telling, where the digital world is moving like this.
So who do you feel like they should be covering that they're not right now? What is that one person you're like, this person is a star, everyone should be covering them, and I don't see them on any news shows at night?
It's not even a person, it's the way they're covering it. It's the traditional models of, like, sure, send a red carpet reporter, right? But like, what questions are they asking? There's so many things when I'm watching interviews where it's either that the person doing the interviews isn't either doing their research, or it's being cut out because the people doing the decision making think these things aren't important, right? Mm-hmm. So it's less about, like, you can interview anybody and get good content, but it's more about, like, paying attention to, like, what's popular before it pops. A lot of these places want to make sure ET wants to know if Extra's doing it. Extra wants to know if Access is doing it. They're all worried about each other. They're not worried about creating something that people care about. Like,
oh, let me tell you, to that point, Nina, when I worked at Extra, they had all the other shows streaming inside of the room, and they are literally watching every other show. Yeah. What did they record? What do they have on the air tonight? What are they leading with? And so they could adjust it before refeeding it out to the West Coast. I mean, they really were monitoring everyone else's shows all the time.
Just like keep up with the competition. But when I would pitch stories, I'll never forget when I was at the Insider, and this was when early in Nicki Minaj's career, and I was like, hey, like, she's gonna pop, like, she's really good. At this point, she was still doing like the rap freestyles and things like that, and had like mixtapes out. I don't even know if her first album had dropped, but she was getting huge buzz, and I was like, this is going to be a huge star. And the sweet spot is, before someone's a huge star and you do a story on them, they get an affinity for you, they get an affection for you, and they'll keep coming back to you. But if you ignore them, they're going to remember that too. And so I remember wanting to get ahead of it and pitching Nicki Minaj, and I remember, like, at the point, she was so social media savvy, and my boss telling me, like, nobody cared about her. And, you know, a lot of times these organizations really make a mistake when it's people of color, especially Black people, where they're like, we don't know them. That doesn't mean that they're not popular just because you're not familiar with this person, because look at this rabid fan base, right? And so it was such a fight to get me to cover. I think she was doing like a commercial or something. And I was get a one-on-one interview. She was going to let me listen to the album. Like, it was, and they were just like, no, we don't know. This is good. And instead of having the frame of mind, like, this person has what it takes to, like, make this interesting and we can have this exclusive, there wasn't any foresight. It was just like, well, nobody else has covered her, so why should we? As opposed to, we are the tastemakers. And I think that's what's missing, is that these organizations forget their tastemakers. They've become slaves to PR reps. They've become slaves to being nice to celebrities, and not in a way that you need to be mean, but in a way that can give a critical point of view, an honest point of view about what these people are talking about and what they're doing outside. And instead they want to be best friends with everybody. And, you know, the average person don't care about that. They want to know the real.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough situation. You know, it's like, how many times can we keep doing a story about Jennifer Aniston? You know, these stories, they keep leading stories with Jennifer Aniston. I'm like, guys, not for nothing, Jennifer Aniston hasn't really done much in the last decade. Granted, she is a star. She's a huge name. But there's people, like you said, Nina, on the rise that are like, look what people are clicking on. look,
Yeah, I mean, she'll always be famous, right? People always care about her. And so it's not to take away from that. Like, she's super talented, but I just think, there has been a changing of the guard. And I think there's so many people that are popping who, by the way, don't need these shows anymore. They can get on their TikTok. They can get on
100%.
Instagram, YouTube.
They don't.
As you know, it's like, we don't even need these traditional outlets anymore. And I think that's what they're missing. And it's a shame, because it's like they have an opportunity to really make a difference, and they refuse to change. And I am a big believer of, you refuse to change, you die.
Nina, that was my biggest beef with. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Adam.
And I was just say, that was my biggest beef. I've met with some of like the major entertainment news shows, and I was like, guys, for what you charge for people to go do these interviews, you're paying a camera guy, an intern, a producer, a host, all this stuff. Is like, I'm a one-man rock band that gets the same exact footage, if not better. So it's like you're costing. I'm a cheap alternative for you that's going to get the job done. And everyone was like, no, we're going to stick. We're sticking to what we're doing. And what were they doing? They're overcharging the network, which a show just became too expensive, and they're not getting the return. I'm like,
they're already paying like their hosts, a lot of money anyway. So, and one thing I will say I learned from Harvey is, like, you don't even need to go to the event to cover the event. Maybe he would send paparazzi, but like, we didn't have crews on the red carpet doing interviews, but we could still talk about who showed up. There's still going to be photos there. You could use, this is inside baseball, but there's always like a house crew, right? You can use the house crew's footage and form an opinion on that. There's so many ways that this could be done that's so much more interesting, that saves money, that actually utilizes your talent and your relationships, that just, it just isn't happening. And a lot of it falls on like not trusting your talent to pull it through. And that's why I think YouTube is thriving. TikTok thrives. You can put a green screen on TikTok and talk about a red carpet, and it'll get 1 million views. Why would somebody need to wait and watch your show in the evening when they could put on TikTok in their, in the bathroom while they're at work and look at something? Why would I need to wait for your show? So to me, it's just like being able to have that foresight that I think is really missing, because a lot of these people making the decisions are from the old school world, and they have not been able to evolve, and they don't listen to the people who know what's going on. They don't listen.
It's the young people coming in, the changing of the guard, like you said, that they need to listen to those young and how they consume stuff. So, Nina, take me back to when you left TMZ. Obviously, TMZ had become a huge show. Everyone on the cast was very recognizable in public.
Yeah.
How did that affect you when you were out looking for a new job? Did it make it harder? Did it make it easier? I'm just curious how your journey was post leaving TMZ, because I know when we would walk around the street, there was a certain level of like, that's exciting, and then a certain level of like, TMZ, kind of like sketchy. So I'm just curious what your life was like back then.
I didn't have a problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
But, I people would tell me, like, when I was thinking of leaving, and I would ask, friends in the industry, like, what is your advice? And they'd be like, well, it might be hard. This is the thing, like, I don't really believe in no. So I'm never going to think your experience is going to be my experience, because I'm going to handle it my way. And I just never subscribed to the idea that nobody was going to want to work with me because I was at TMZ. I was like, people are going to work with me because I know what I'm talking about and I know how to do my job. And so, I just never really listened to opinions of others. And I think that, not to invalidate their experiences, but I just was like, that ain't going to be my journey. And it wasn't. And so, I got a job really quickly after leaving TMZ. My job at CBS was a couple months after I left. And that was based off of relationships that I had made while I was at TMZ, where I was able to get in and get an interview. Shout out to Lee Collier. She looked out for me, who, she used to be over at Telepictures, and she would come in and oversee TMZ. And we had a great relationship, and she set up a meeting for me at CBS, and I was able to land the job. It's like, they get you in the room, you get the job. And so I was able to land my job at CBS based off of my interview. And were there struggles internally? Absolutely, with the adjustment period. But, I looked at it like, they need me. Like, this is looking a little stale. Y'all need somebody fresh who's gonna tell you what's popping. And I think ultimately they knew that too.
Love it.
Yeah, no, that is. But did agents and managers start reaching out to you right away, or were they reaching out to you while you were at TMZ, or afterwards did they reach out to you, or were you reaching out to them saying, "Hey, I'm trying to work here"?
Nobody reached out to me. I did it. I actually did. I got CBS without an agent.
Nice.
I didn't have a team. What happened though was, obviously it's such a catch-22 in Hollywood, because agents want you to have the work before you get an agent, but then the work wants, it's like the work wants you to have a team. And so you're like, how do I get this without the other? And so this is how I actually ended up getting representation, because I was like, I do need help negotiating this deal once the offer came in. Because by the way, I completely messed up my first contract with CBS because I told them how much I was making at TMZ, which you are never supposed to do. And
Yep.
they were like, oh, okay, well, this is what you're making. We'll just give you the same thing. And the woman who ultimately ended up being my agent was like, girl, like, why would you tell them what you was making when you was getting underpaid? And so ultimately I was able to work out a new contract later. But initially I really effed myself because I didn't know anything about negotiations. I was so honest in the meeting, and the person giving the meeting was not a good person. And they were taking advantage of me and saw me as a target and a way to get, good talent for cheap labor. That's a whole nother story. How about, that treatment? But ultimately, my friend Emmett, who worked at TMZ, had a roommate who was an assistant at, I can't remember where he was, maybe CAA. He was at one of the agencies. He was an assistant. And I was telling Emmett, like, I need, I got this offer. I don't know what to do. Like, I need help. And his friend, because they liked me, sent out an email to all the other assistants and was like, hey, she's looking for representation. Who can help her? And I got a couple of meetings. I got a meeting at Gersh. I think I got a meeting at William Morris because of it. And then I got a meeting with NS Beanstalk, which NS Beanstalk in New York back in the day represented all the news talent. Like, they represented Anderson Cooper. I think they even represented Harvey at one point. They were representing like Diane London. So they were a really big organization. It was boutique, but they represented all the news people. And so it was really good to be represented by them. And they reached back out and said, hey, we got this email. We heard you're looking for representation. We'd love to have a conversation. And ultimately, I met with a woman there who was young, who was just got promoted to regular agent from a junior agent, and she was hungry. And she was like, girl, let's do this together. And I ended up going with NS Beanstalk, who eventually got bought out by UTA, which is why I ended up getting represented by UTA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love hearing the trajectory. And
yeah, it was
one thing,
friends, like I am alive in this industry because of my relationships. Like, I wouldn't have known what to do. Literally, I just was asking my friend, like, I need help. And he was like, let me see what I can do. And his friend reached out on my behalf. Like, it really was just like serendipitous.
So one thing, we've known each other for years and years. How long have we known each other, Nina, at this point? Like
since 2007.
Jesus. Yeah, we're going on almost 20 years here.
Yeah.
But no, one thing, I never knew a story that you talked about on The Breakfast Club. So you were on The Breakfast Club the other day. You're talking to Charlemagne. You're promoting your Friday Night Vibes show. And it got brought up how you left TMZ and you coming across someone else's paycheck. I never knew that story. And I did not know. And I was listening to that. And so I guess for people that didn't hear you on The Breakfast Club, she basically said that another paycheck got landed on her desk. It was by another member at TMZ. She opened it by accident, and it happened to say how much this person was getting paid and really spotlighted how underpaid you were at the company. And that was really the big catalyst for you to peace out.
Yeah.
And it kind of like broke my heart. I didn't know this story. You never shared it with me. And I was just like, fuck, dude, I did not know some of the things that you were going through back at that time. And I just thought, I'm really happy that you shared that story publicly because I think that it does put a spotlight not just on TMZ, but the industry in a whole and how people can be unfairly compensated for what they do. Why did you choose to share that story finally?
I mean, I think I have protected that experience for a really long time because I was really grateful for the opportunity. I was. I think I'm, mature enough and old enough now where I still need to be able to tell my truth. And I also think it's important for other women, other Black women, to hear about my experience because there were so many comments from me just being transparent with people who related to that. And, listen, it's not easy being the only Black person or one of few Black people in a majority white space in a work environment. But especially at TMZ, I was in my 20s. I didn't quite, I was new to the industry, and there was a great difference in how I was being treated than how my white counterparts were being treated, especially the men. It was a boys club at TMZ. And, back then it was just like, you just kind of had to take it. So not only were we all dealing with stuff, but then I was also dealing with like being one of the few women on the news desk, being one of the only Black women in the news gathering portion of it. And going against like Harvey. And so it was always like really difficult for me. And I always tried to speak my perspective up, in the newsroom and say like, hey, I don't think this is right. Or, there was a lot of really misogynistic things going on, fat shaming, stories where we would talk about women's appearance, race baiting. And it was hard. And especially as, someone in their 20s who's trying to make it, you feel like you don't have another option but to sit there and take it. And, there were days I would go home and I would just cry. I felt undervalued. I would work 12 hours a day. I would work weekends. I don't know if you remember, but I had like Wednesdays off. And it was just an incredibly hard situation. So to go through all of that and then see that you're being paid like half was really, 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 really hard for me. And I just got to a point where I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have an agent. But when they didn't offer me more money and were basically like, this is take it or leave it, like I didn't matter, like I wasn't contributing. When I'm like, y'all put me on every show, you put me on every promo, you got me talking to 50 radio shows a week, you have me doing spots on, TV shows for the entertainment news break. And it was like, that wasn't valued. And I'm being told like it's not valued. And I just was like, I didn't know what else to do but to choose myself. And I think it was probably the first adult decision I made in this industry was to choose myself over fame, because we were being recognized. We were like the hot kids on the block. We were getting invited to hot parties, and like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie would have stuff at Hyde, and we'd be like able to walk in the door. And it was like, I remember getting recognized the first time at a Ralph's and being like, oh my God, like people know who I am. And that's hard. Like when you've never been recognized, to going to recognizable in such a short amount of time, it is addicting. And it is like, you want more of it. And when you're young, it's such a portion of validation that you've never felt before. So to walk away from it was like, with nothing, was really hard. But, Dax, I was going to check cashing places. Like I didn't have any money. Like I was broke and they didn't care. And I was like, these people don't care about me. And I just was like, I had to make a decision. And I felt like I just made this deal with God. I was like, I'm gonna trust you. You just help me. I'm gonna make this step in faith. And I just, just have my back. I'm gonna keep making these steps, but just, hold me down. And God held this part of the bar.
Well, it fucking paid off for you, Nina. It was a good decision. I mean, you've gone on to, like we said at the top of the show, you've gone on to Access Hollywood, The Insider, E! Nightly Pop, Daily Pop. You've done the red carpets for E! I mean, you've got this incredible resume to show that it was really a good move. And not only that, your clothing line that has been a massive, massive success for you as well. So I think you made the right decision.
Yeah, listen, it was not easy. And I really, I never told anybody this, but for like 2 years, I really regretted it. Like I wanted to go back for every day for like 2 years, even when I was somewhere else. Because it was, I think, going to a more traditional place, I really appreciated like the advancement of how everybody worked there. And even though it was toxic, I missed you guys. Like I missed like the relationship with my coworkers, because it wasn't, when you go into these other spaces where they's doing these red carpets, the competition is crazy. Like it's like vultures. People are threatened. You breathe, people threaten. Like it was like that at TMZ. We were all kind of like, as far as the people in the trenches, we were all kind of family. So I really missed that. And I think, I had a little Stockholm syndrome for a little while that I had to like really get out of. And I think I see people who left TMZ who I can tell are still in this like frame of mind that kind of Harvey put them into, where I'm like, their worth is only conducive to producing stories and producing stuff that, and I'm like, you're not even at a news outlet. Why are you like pressed about this? Like, sit and breathe for a little bit and appreciate your growth and where you're going. It's kind of like the person who only wears one hairstyle because they want to be recognized. And you like, you can change it up. You can change who you are and still be appreciated and worthy and loved. Like, you don't have to stay in this model to feel like you are worthy of that attention and that admiration.
Why are you taking shots at Jennifer Aniston?
Never that. I don't need the white woman brigade. You know, I like it.
Oh, that's funny.
Nina, how do you feel? Like you're a TV host. You've done an excellent, amazing job. Your resume is, like Dax said, is incredible. You know, you've worked very, very hard at it. You've trained for it. You've put in the work. You've put in the hours, and now you see, people like a person who goes on The Bachelor all of a sudden gets a hosting job right after. And, I know you have a relationship with Nick Viall. Like, you see these guys take off because they go on a reality dating show for a season and become a star. Then all of a sudden their whole thing is like, no, I'm just trying to become a TV host. And you see Derek Huff now, he's the new host of Extra. Do you have some resentment? Do you feel weird? Is it like, in your shoes, do you feel you're kind of boxed out? Because I mean, Dax and I have talked about like, fuck, this is all we could have done. Like, we put in so much work, so much hours. We're a black belt into this, but we're like, maybe we should just did some scandal. Could have got a gig like this, Like,
you want to take a shortcut, right? Because you see, like, somebody gets popular on TikTok and now they're at the Oscars, and you're like, I actually went to school for this and have put a decade plus into this, and somebody can kind of swoop in, but. It's the name of the game. Like, things change. And one thing I've learned is in this industry, nothing lasts forever. Something's hot and then it's not. And there's eras that we go through. Your testament is staying strong and devoted through that time when the ebbs and flows happen, right? Because I've seen so many people quit right here when this was coming because they're sick and tired and they've left the industry, or there's so many people we used to work with that are no longer in entertainment because they were just like, it's too hard. I've made the personal commitment to not stop. I have made the decision. I'm not stopping. I'm not giving up. Nobody's running me out of here. I don't care if it goes like this. I don't care if I have to start here again. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I have to do to keep going. I've made that personal decision, but I also understand the frustration of, this industry is so challenging right now. And you have all these actors doing hosting gigs. You have influencers doing red carpets that don't do the research, that don't know anything about these backstories. And then you see really talented people getting passed on. But this has been happening for years, right? How many times have you been in a subway where you've heard someone singing amazing and then you wonder how, like, this other person has platinum records and they can barely hold a note and they need auto-tune, right? So it's like there have always been people with mediocre talent rising to the top, right? There's always been people who can scam their way to the top. But there's also, for me, I'm always like, if one thing exists, the other has to exist too. And it's really just finding your lane. And sometimes your lane isn't what you initially think it's going to be. It's not, may not be that traditional way. There might be a different avenue to getting there. And as we've seen with entrepreneurship, and it's like, it's one of the reasons I started my clothing line. I was like, I can't be beholden to entertainment news anymore because this is changing into something I don't recognize and I don't incredibly like, but maybe there'll be a way to infuse my skills with this in something else. And so you kind of have to ebb and flow with it, but it is frustrating. I'm not going to lie and say I don't sit with other hosts and talk about, like, I can't believe they gave this person a hosting gig and they don't know how to read a prompter, or they didn't do any research, or they have no background in this. This person is, never done a hosting gig and they're giving them a mainstream show. But it's not their fault for taking it. It's not, if we got an offer to go get $1 million to go catch a football in the NFL, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break my neck, but I'm gonna do it.
And looking back at all three of us, we were fresh out of college and got a gig that I'm telling you, probably all of our friends were like, how the hell did they land that gig? And we didn't. So I think we've been a part of that, and life evolves, and then
it's frustrating, but you can't be a hater, right? Like, for me, there have been times where I'm like, damn, I can't believe that this would have been amazing. Or I see almost most mainstream shows now have a celebrity host or a former athlete hosting it. And you're like, damn. So then for me, I'm like, all right, I got to create my own. I got to create just like what you guys are doing with this. Like, all right, I've got to, it's more inspiring to me than anything else. And I think it's really easy to be resentful at Hollywood. And you have to really toe the line and use that anger or frustration to create. For me, my outlet is creating. Doing something about it makes me feel better about my circumstances.
Absolutely. I like that we have no bosses. We can say whatever the fuck we want. I love that part. Now, Nina, when you look back at all the gigs that you've done with like the Love and Hip Hop reunions and working the red carpet for E, is there a specific interaction with a massive celebrity that stands out in your mind of like, that was really cool, and I'm like, you cherish that moment when you look back at your career and think, I can't believe I got to meet that person and what that was like?
Not really.
Fuck them celebs.
I have to say, it's like, when you do it so much, not that I'm jaded, but like I'm not impressed by celebrities. There are some that I love, right? Like I just met Spike Lee, and that was like really, it's cool because he's an icon. But when you meet these people and you talk to them, they regular people. He was tired. Like it was like there. It kind of. I feel like my the sparkle for like celebrities isn't there because I just see them as regular people. I probably get more excited on niche things like, if I love a reality show and I see somebody, like I think that's why people from Love Island are so big. They're not really celebs, but they're people who are figures who you can root for where they don't feel out of touch. So I don't know. I mean, there are people that I like, and a lot of these people have become my friends over the years, right? So there are people that I like and enjoy my interactions with, but I'm not really blown away by anybody. And honestly, these things are so transactional. These conversations are so transactional, and there are teams around where there's not anything that's incredibly fulfilling for it. And which is why I kind of took a step back from entertainment news, because I was like, I'm not being fulfilled by this anymore. Like, and I think I've met like most of these big celebs, and they're lovely people, but I'm not blown away by it. I would per se, I just think like I'm more blown away by the experience or like how people receive the interview, if people love the interaction. Like I'm more blown away by like people who are touched by a conversation I had. Like the fans of the show make more of a difference to me than those, I mean, it's just, they don't honestly care about the host. Like they don't, it's not that they're mean, but like they see you as a means to an end. They don't want to really be there. A lot of these people, I was at the premiere the other night with Denzel and Spike. They didn't want to be there. I mean, they want you to watch the show and they care, but they get over a certain age. They've done it so many times. They're like, all right, do this, take your pictures. All right, goodbye. And I get it. So, I will say though, like I did do Love and Hip Hop reunions, and before Cardi was like super famous, she threw a shoe at my head, and that is something I'll always remember.
That's a badge of honor. That's not a lot of people can say that. You and Nicki Minaj can say that. That's pretty dope.
She still follows me to this day too. Cardi does, from hosting Love and Hip Hop, and I wasn't the target, but it went just like this. It's very viral on YouTube, but it's like those are the things that make more of an impact to me. Like those kind of things. Like she wasn't as big as she is now. And actually, when I met her in the dressing rooms, because I would go to everybody's dressing rooms before the show and say hello, and she was so shy, and I was really shocked that she was so sweet and shy, but she was quiet. She was like, hey, like she wasn't like you thought. I thought I was going to have this big personality, and not that she doesn't have it, but in that moment she was just kind of quiet and just like shy, and it was really cute. And I didn't expect this personality once we got on stage to come out. But we are both Libras, and we know how to preserve our energy, so I got it.
Did you think Cardi would become as big of a star as she has become?
I sure did. I followed
you could
Cardi
see it
when she was still stripping. I was following her on Instagram before she got Love and Hip Hop. And I don't think I said anything to producers, but I remember watching her on Instagram, and when they cast her, I was privy to seeing the trailer before everybody else. And I saw that trailer and I was like, oh, she's going to be a huge star. Like her interactions with the other cast, she just stood out so much. And I remember thinking like, oh, they'll lucky to get her from work there.
I love her. We talk about her all the time because she is probably one of the most authentic people
even to a fault.
in all of Hollywood, whether
Yeah,
you love it or hate it.
yeah.
She just is so real, and she
Mhm.
says it, and I love that about her. It is
Yeah.
so refreshing to cover a celebrity who doesn't give a fuck. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think she does, in a sense of like she cares too much, and I think like I relate to her in a lot where it's like, how many of us want to cuss people out on the internet, and we don't because of we want to keep our jobs, our reputation. And I love that she has so much money now; she could just do what she want to do and say what she want to say. And I don't think there's any celeb who hasn't want to react the way she's reacted. I just think they don't. Um, and I mean, I'm on a way smaller scale, and there's people I want to cuss out on a daily basis. You know,
So before we run out of time, tell us about your new show, because we've seen all your other shows that you've been on. Big Nina supporter throughout the years. Tell us about Friday Night Vibes. Tell us what you guys are doing there. This is your second season, correct?
yes, it is.
So
Yeah, the show.
what are people getting when they tune in?
It's with me and my co-host Kev on stage, who's a comedian and host now, and actor. He's doing a lot, and it's really like a remake, a reboot of. They still have Dinner and a Movie, but this is kind of like a similar version where we have a movie night. And I'm gonna be honest, once you get over 35, like Friday nights are no longer for going out. It's like for staying in. And so that's like your rest and relaxation time, right? Like you're like, oh, it's Friday. I get to take my bra off and just like relax and watch a good movie and binge. And that's just really what the purpose of the show is. To their movies you love that seen, maybe you've seen before. Maybe you're like, oh, I always wanted to see this and I missed it. And we have some of the people on the movies on set. So we've had we played Get Out, and we had Little Rail on set, and we play games with them, and we talk about behind the scenes and what the movie was like filming, and get little insights and things like that to the movie. And it's really just a time for you to unwind, and like you and your wife could watch it, and it's really just a fun time. And it's almost like being at a game night with friends without having to leave the house.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that's
It's a very feel good opportunity and show. And I've done a lot of heavy stuff in my career, and this is like it's just fun. It's just a good time.
I love it.
Good for you. Good for you. You're crushing it. And
Thank you.
do you have besides the fashion line, which Dax, I want to hear more about that. Do you still have one dream gig that you're still trying to go after? Are you continuously pitching gigs or pitching yourself for things? What is besides the business side, on the entertainment side, what are you looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that I don't talk about because I'm nervous about. I really hold things close to my chest because I feel like not everybody wants good for you, and it's really difficult for me to be vulnerable enough to tell people what I want. But lately, I have been talking about my dreams more because people don't know what you want to do unless you speak up, right? Like closed mouths don't get fed. And I have really wanted to venture more into the scripted space. I'm feeling a real big pull to wanting to, like I told you, I went to the Spike Lee premiere the other night, and I was so inspired. I just think it's so creative and dope to do a movie, and I have these ideas for scripted shows, and I really want to get into. I think I have really good ideas in general. And I will be honest, one of the things working in news, it almost makes you an aggregator, right? Like you're able to really see what the culture likes and really get these ideas. And so I would love to produce and write and work in the scripted world, and be a part of some shows. And I've lightly touched in that and consulted on some things, but really having a heavy hitting, be able to pitch a show and have it take off and be a part of that. And not in the same vein as a Quinta, but being able to develop these shows and see them come to fruition is something that I've really been drawn to. And also doing voiceovers, because I feel like I did so many voiceovers when I was doing all these award shows, and wanting to get more into that, which I think is just fun.
Yeah,
that's cool. Are you making more? Are you making more now from your fashion or your TV gigs? Because you got some pretty cool stuff in the fashion world going. Really?
Yeah, I understand why Rihanna was like, I'm gonna just stay in clothes and makeup. I get it. It's very lucrative. And it's you're making money while you sleep, because these, this is something that's available for sale 24 hours a day online in stores. They sell out. And so, my life changed when I got my clothing line financially. So TV, it's hit or miss. TV, you got to save. It's and TV shows don't pay what they used to pay. So TV is a love, and I like it, and it's good money compared to like the average person. But yeah, the retail world ain't nothing to play with. So it's.
I will never forget back in 2021, the day your stuff launched at Macy's. I was there to take pictures of like the whole setup. I was so excited for you. I just thought it was so cool. Something that I'm like, to know someone that like has a fashion line inside of Macy's, I was like, that is pretty freaking unbelievable.
That's so nice.
That's so cool.
It was really cool moment. But that being said, I heard you now have another milestone in your fashion career. You're about to do a fashion show. You're going to be your first fashion show as well.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a fashion show, a New York Fashion Week runway show, which is really unheard of in the plus world. And so there's not a lot of plus inclusion in New York Fashion Week. So to have an official like runway show, it will be in conjunction with Harlem Fashion Week. And so I'm getting looks together. I'm flying to New York to do fittings, picking out the fabrics, and we're doing like a model casting call. It's sometimes when I say this stuff out loud, it feels like I'm talking about someone else, because I'm like, what the hell? Like, how is this my life? That's the power of manifestation and prayer. But I'm really excited about it, and I think like it's really cool to have two loves. I always thought TV was my only love, and as I've grown, I'm like, oh, you can have more than one passion, more than one love, and more than one way to get to like where you see yourself going. I never thought it would be fashion, because I was so anti-fashion for so long, because it never felt like they cared about me. And so to have people recognize the hard work, because I really do. I started fashion for the love. I really didn't get into it for the money. The money was a surprise. I was like, wait, is this check for real? It's really cool to be able to, and I really do it for women. Like, I really do this for women to be seen, to feel loved on, if you feeling shitty throughout the day, there's like somebody that's rooting for you, that wants you to feel good and feel like your best self. And that's me. And so like doing this fashion show feels like a wink from God. Like, I got you. And so yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I hope it's received well. I'm really nervous. And I love that I'm still doing things that make me scared and nervous, because I think after you do stuff for a while, it starts to feel like routine. And this is something that is shocking me out of my system, but in like the best way.
Nina, so proud of you. So excited for you. You are crushing it. I just really,
guys, by the way, like, you guys are killing it. I love seeing like headlines when you guys interview somebody, and like it's making headlines, and obviously like Trophy Smack and all the good things. So you guys are family. I'm always rooting for you, and I'm always super excited when I see people tagging like Trophy Smack. I'm like, that's my friend's company.
The other day, I just look around, and we're now in like the Yahoo app, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is like, so wild.
Like a video where you were like pranking your staff, and I was like, this is crazy, because we used to do this at TMZ, where we prank each other on our birthdays, and like you really spearheaded a lot of the pranks. And now that you're like the boss with the office, and like, it's just so cool to see. And I said this before we got on air, but I was like, my baby's grown up, because I was like, you weren't even married when I met you.
I know.
And now it's just so crazy to see it all like come to fruition, and you guys like create this brand, and it's really dope.
Oh, well, thank you, Nina. And if you guys haven't checked out Friday Night Vibes, go check it out. Go check out her fashion line, the Nina Parker collection, and follow her on IG. It's just Nina Parker, right?
It's the Nina Parker on all social.
The Nina Parker on social media.
Somebody took Nina Parker. DM her and tell her to give me my name.
I remember you had Miss Gossip Girl for a long time, because she took Nina Parker.
Yes.
Yep. Retired that. Then you became, your more mature self, and became the Nina Parker. Nina, so proud of you. Congratulations on all your success. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I love you both.
Great catching up with Nina. Nina's crushing it. I mean, dude, she left at I want to say, first of all, super talented in business and entertainment, but also like she left the TMZ at the right time. And like, she was probably the biggest person to come off the show, but also like Yeah, she's a doll. She's awesome. She rules. Like
Love it.
She
like I said, I love seeing her success. It's fun to see your friends succeed, and she has really taken everything and maximized it.
She's a legit host, and that's the thing. It's pretty incredible to see what she's done. She worked hard. She worked her way up, so you got to respect that. And she's doing cool things. Got to check out her Fashion Week. She's got a fashion show coming up for New York Fashion Week. I'll be outside there, probably trolling people, but yeah, it'll be fun. But make sure you check out her fashion line and what she's got going on. Check out our private Facebook group, Off the Record, fun community. Wait, someone just flushed a toilet? What noise is that?
Oh, there's a train going by.
All right, check out our private Facebook group, Off the Record, fun community. We all talk to each other. Follow me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. Follow our YouTube page, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.